Real horror stories no one dares to tell. Welcome to Fear Stories. Have you ever felt like something was watching you, even when you were completely alone? Have you ever heard an unexplainable sound coming from the forest, or seen eyes lurking in the dark even when you told yourself it was just your imagination? If those questions stir something inside you, then you're exactly where you should be. Welcome to Fear Stories, the channel where fear isn't a special effect. It's real. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but there are things we live through that no one would believe if we told them. And maybe that's why most of us prefer to stay silent, keeping it all inside like just another unresolved nightmare. But what happened to me that day was no dream. And even now, when I close my eyes, I still hear that voice. A faint, dragging whisper, saying my name. And the worst part? It came from inside the cornfield. It was an ordinary afternoon, clear sky, the sun high above, and I was walking along the old dirt path cutting through my grandmother's cornfield. A path I had walked hundreds of times as a child. I always thought it was beautiful there. The sound of wind pushing the leaves, that strong smell of living earth, and the rows of corn stretching on both sides like an endless tunnel. But that day, everything felt different. The heat was heavy, stifling, like the air had suddenly thickened. And what really struck me was the silence. The kind of silence that makes your ears ache, you know? As if nature itself had stopped, just to listen to what was about to happen. That's when I heard it. At first, I thought it was just in my head, maybe a buzz. But no, it was a distinct sound, a whisper, low, rough, coming from inside the corn, and it said my name, not once, 3 times. The way the voice sounded, it was like it was smiling, but not kindly, like it was calling me because it already knew I would answer. I looked back, trying to find someone, but there was nothing. Just the corn swaying slightly, even though the air was completely still. Have you ever felt like something is watching you, even when there's no one there? I felt it. I felt every pore on my body stand on end. My eyes tried to strain between the rows, searching for any movement, a shadow, anything to explain it. But everything was still. The stalks, tall, motionless, watching me like hundreds of silent eyes. The feeling was that the cornfield was breathing, but not like something alive in the natural sense. It was like it was awake, aware of my presence. Like it had chosen that moment to notice me. The first thing I thought was to get out of there as fast as possible. My steps grew heavier, but even so, I couldn't run. It was like something was telling me to go slow, not to attract attention. I tried to convince myself it was just paranoia, my mind playing tricks. But then why did my name keep echoing, even after I was far from the starting point? The voice followed, sometimes near, sometimes far, always coming from the leaves. And here's the strangest part, because it didn't seem like that voice wanted to scare me. It didn't scream, it didn't threaten, it just called. Like an old memory trying to surface, like that voice had always been part of me. Like it had always been there, waiting for the right time to be heard. And maybe deep down I always knew this day would come. Because the cornfield has this way of seeming like just an ordinary field. But for those who grew up near it, they know. Inside it, time doesn't pass the same. Sounds behave differently, and things look back. Only when I reached the main road did the air seem to return to normal. The wind blew again, birds started to sing, and the pressure on my chest eased. But something inside me had changed. That afternoon marked the moment I realized the world we see isn't all there is. There are places, spaces where things whisper. And if you listen, you might never forget. Some people will hear this and laugh. They'll say it was just the wind, just imagination, just a field with dry leaves shaking. But if you've ever been through something similar, if you've ever heard a voice where there was no one, if you've ever felt eyes following you even when alone, then you know this goes far beyond logical explanations. Comment below if this awakened something in you. If something inside you understood what I'm saying. Right, I'm here. Because maybe, just maybe, I'm not the only one. Night came like a heavy cloak, and even hours away from the field, something followed me. Not on my feet, nor in my body, but inside me. Like part of me was still there, trapped between those rows of corn. My grandmother's house was simple, with wooden windows that creaked at the slightest touch of wind. It used to be a refuge, but that night the silence inside was scarier than any noise I could hear. It was the kind of silence that seems to hold something, a warning, a pause before something bad. I tried to sleep. The bed was cold, even with the night's heat. And no matter how much I closed my eyes, the whisper stayed in my head. Not loud, not invasive, but persistent, like it was calling me back, like it was saying something unfinished remained. I turned many times, covered my head, turned on the light, but nothing helped. It was like an invisible part of that had entered with me, and now watched me from the corner of the room. At 3 in the morning, I finally slept, and that's when the dream came. Except it didn't feel like a dream. I was back on the path. But now the cornfield was taller, denser. The stalks seemed to close around me like a cathedral of living leaves. The ground beneath my feet was no longer brown. It was dark, almost black and hot. Hot as if it had just come out of a fire. And right in front of me, a figure. Tall, thin, arms too long for its body. But its face was made of shadows. Only the eyes shone. 2 colorless, deep points like holes in reality. And behind it, the leaves moved, but not with the wind. It was like hundreds of hands were crawling through the cornfield trying to reach me. I woke up sweating, heart racing, but the room wasn't empty, not completely. On the floor near the door was a trail of dirt, small marks but continuous, like someone had entered. I swear I didn't open the door that night. And my grandmother doesn't get out of bed after 9. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and there, right on top of the dresser, was an ear of corn, fresh like it had just been picked. And the smell, that strong, almost sour smell, like something had been ripped from the earth by force. That's when I understood it wasn't about seeing something. It was about being chosen. The call doesn't happen by chance. It waits, it watches, and when you answer, even if only with a look, it comes closer. It doesn't need words. It plants itself in you, and it grows. Since that night, I've never been the same. I avoid trails, open fields, even supermarkets with too many long aisles. Because that feeling comes back, that silent presence. Like at any moment, I'll hear my name being called again, softly and in the middle of a crowd. I know I'm not alone, and I know there are more people feeling this, living this, but afraid to tell. Afraid to seem crazy, but the truth is that maybe what haunts us isn't madness. Maybe it's part of something that's always been here, just waiting for us to listen. So if this story moved you, if at any moment you held your breath or looked over your shoulder while listening, comment, "I'm here." That's how we find each other. That's how we realize we're not alone in this kind of experience. And if you feel you need to hear more stories like this, real, dark, told exactly as they happened, no cuts, no filters, then subscribe now to the Fear Stories channel. Here, each video isn't just a story. It's a reminder, a whisper from the dark, saying the world isn't as safe as it seems. Turn on the notification bell, because the next video could be about someone just like you. And you need to be ready, because sometimes what stalks you doesn't just want to scare. It wants to enter. It wants to stay.